Hi, this is Michael Buckhoff from BetterTOEFLScores.com, and this is a TOEFL reading passage. I got this directly from ETS. This is from their practice test. You can download a practice test from the TOEFL.org website, and let me tell you, it's a good idea to take a look at these types of reading passages. At least you know what you're up against when you take the TOEFL iBT. So first of all, let's see how many paragraphs we have here. So how many did you count there? Did you get 7? That's what I got. These are 7 paragraphs. You're looking at approximately 800 words in terms of how many words you have to read. So it's a pretty good idea that you have some very good reading skills if you want to do well on the reading part of the TOEFL iBT. Now, I'm not trying to scare you by showing you this reading passage. I'm just trying to point out that these passages are long and they're academic. So it's important that you prepare yourself to read this type of material when you take the TOEFL iBT. Now, let me tell you a quick story. Now, a lot of people know that I am a distance runner. I really like to run. I run a lot of miles every week, and I run very short distances. I like to race the 5,000 meters and the 10,000 meters, and that's about as far as I like to race. Now, to prepare for these distances, I run anywhere from 50, 60 to even 100 miles a week so that I can run a 5,000 on the track really fast. And a lot of people say, well, why don't you run marathons? You're running so many miles. Why do you run so many miles for such a short distance? But the fact is in order to be a good long distance runner, even running 5Ks and 10Ks, you have to run a lot of miles in order to run fast, even at those short distances. Like a distance runner who does specialized workouts and a lot of miles in order to become a fast runner, you also have to do some specific things to help you become a better reader. Step 1, build your vocabulary base. This is pretty obvious. You do need to have good vocabulary. And remember that as you improve your vocabulary, it will help you not just for reading, but it helps you with the speaking, with your writing, and even in the listening parts of this test. So it will really help you in many aspects of your overall English proficiency. Now, you may have a list already. If you don't, I recommend you go to my blog, BetterTOEFLScores.com, and check out a 1,700 vocabulary list from A to Z. You can download for free. Now, you may be asking yourself, why would you give something away for free? I'm so confident that if you go to my blog and read my tips and download my list, that later on you'll be buying some products from me. I have some really inexpensive TOEFL iBT products coming out, and I think it can really help you. But anyway, let's move on. Step 2. Practice extensive reading. It's important that you read regularly and extensively. The research indicates in order to really become a better reader, you have to read approximately 45 minutes every day. Now, during this type of reading, you don't stop, you don't answer the phone, you don't talk to anybody, you don't stop when you see a word you don't know, you simply read 45 minutes non-stop. Now, what do you read when you do extensive reading? I can tell you this: do not read TOEFL type reading. Read novels, longer books, things that are like 300 to 400 pages long. Make a goal to read about 1 book a week. This dramatically helps you improve your reading speed and your reading concentration and comprehension of English. So it's important to read extensively. Finally, it's important for you to learn reading strategies. There are specific things that you can do when you're reading a TOEFL iBT text that can help you remember more, that can help you answer the questions more effectively. So it's very important to have effective reading strategies. Now remember, I've just given you 3 tips here. I told you to build vocabulary strategies, I told you to read extensively, and I told you to learn some good reading strategies. Now if you only do one of these 3, and a lot of people simply focus on the third one, the reading strategies, you focus a lot on TOEFL type preparation books, and they do give you great reading strategies, but remember, that's just 1 out of 3 things that you have to do. You need the whole thing, the whole package, in order to do really well on these TOEFL tests. But remember this, if your reading becomes better, you can kill. How about this? There's an expression in American culture. We usually say 2, but I'm going to say in this case 3. You can kill 3 birds with 1 stone. It means if your reading comprehension improves, you'll do better on the reading section, you'll do better on the speaking section, and you'll do better on the writing section. How about that? Because all 3 sections require you to read either campus related or academic type reading passages. We're back to the reading passage again. Now I gave you some tips on what you can do to do better when you're doing the TOEFL iBT, and now we want to talk about how you can read a long reading passage like this. So step 1, take a look at the actual title where it says Meteorite Impact and Dinosaur Extinction. If there is a title, pay attention to that. The second step is to identify the thesis of the reading passage. Now, usually when I'm looking for the thesis, I'll go to the last line of the first part of the first paragraph, and sometimes it might be in another paragraph, but usually not in a paragraph that's this long. It says, twice in the 20th century, large meteorite objects are known to have collided with Earth. Now I begin reading, so based on that, I'm looking for 2 times these objects have hit the Earth in the 20th century. Now very quickly as I skim, I can find out that that doesn't seem to be the focus of this reading passage. It doesn't mention 1 time, a second time, these objects happened in the 20th century. I don't see that. Alright, let's go back. So maybe that's not the thesis. So then let's go to the first line here. There is increasing evidence that the impacts of meteorites have had important effects on Earth, particularly in the field of biological evolution, and the fact that uses the term such impacts which continue to pose a natural hazard, it refers back to this idea. Now check this out. Impact. Impacted. This impact. You have in this paragraph says large impacts. You have impacts mentioned in this paragraph, the very first word, and then we have random violent events. I think that's a synonym. A violent event is an impact. And then we have, that's actually the conclusion. So now we have found it. So do you see my point is? My point is I'm not sure what the thesis is until I've skimmed the first line of each of those paragraphs to see how the whole passage is actually organized. Now something else is pretty interesting with this reading passage is it mentions this biological evolution thing. Now as I'm skimming, I can see that it mentions the biological evolution thing near the end of each paragraph, interesting enough. So like the last line talks about how the dinosaurs disappeared. It goes on, it says it looks like this paragraph is more about the effects of the impact of the meteor during the Cretaceous period. So that one doesn't focus on the evolutionary of effects. But it does say in the next paragraph that these environmental disasters have been responsible for the mass extinction. Remember that evolution means survival of a species, that some species will die out and then others will actually begin or flourish. The next paragraph, the last line, it talks about a sudden evolutionary burst. Always look for key terms, what I call repetition of key terms that go back to the key points in the thesis. The next paragraph, a lot of stuff going on. Biological evolution, ecological catastrophes due to impacts. It looks like the species to survive. This paragraph is very rich in helping develop the second part of the actual thesis statement, and then we get back to the conclusion. So what can you learn from this? You notice I did not read the entire paragraph. I didn't read the whole reading passage word by word. I was looking more at the organization of it. Think about what type of organization you're looking at. So this one has the cause-effect type relationship. Maybe the impact is the cause, and then the effect of that is the dinosaur extinction and other types of evolutionary effects. Other reading passages, they could be compare and contrast. They might be classification or categorization. They could be steps in a process. There might even be a narration of some sort. So it's a good idea for TOEFL iBT reading to make sure you understand the organization of it, particularly given the fact that you'll have to do some charting and some graphing type questions when you get to the end. So there you have it. This is actual reading passage from the ETS website. You can download it, as I said before, and you can take this sample practice test on your own.